So then, welcome back to the channel. Once again, working on the Defender today. And as I said, it's going to be a bit of a change of pace today. However, the idea of overnighting car parts from Japan is apparently just something they have in films, and car parts actually take a bit longer than a day to come through. So today, we'll be refitting a diesel heater to the van. I say refitting as this one's already had a diesel heater fitted to it, a Chinese one. However, it's a 5 kilowatt rather than a 2 kilowatt. So size-wise, way too big dimensionally, as well as way too hot as well. So I'm going to be fitting a 2 kilowatt one. I'm just going to take you through the process that I've used and done before. So it'll be dead straightforward. It's really easy. Hopefully there might be a few bits of information for those of you who've got Defenders yourself who might be looking to fit one. So let's get into it. Right, in front of me, so I've taken out the diesel heater from obviously its packaging. So this is kind of what you'll get when you order one. Any sort of Urba Special Webasto type diesel heater, they're all pretty much identical. So yeah, you'll often get much the same as I've got here in front of me. Now there's a couple of bits that I would recommend changing. Fuel line being one of them, just because this goes hard, brittle, it's not the best in the world. And personally, I won't be using the fuel tank. I don't want any more fuel inside the van if I can help it. So I'll be using a T into the fuel filler, which I'll show you shortly. That is specific to the Defender. However, these do also come with standpipes. So you can use the standpipes to connect to your fuel tank, whether it's in there or whether it's through the top of the inbuilt fuel tank in your car. So a few options for you. I'm hoping that by tapping it into the actual fuel tank and using that one, I'm not going to croak as the name of the brand is. It's a bit, hopefully not foreshadowing. So yeah, really straightforward fit on these, as with any van. So I'm going to get the bits for the van now and get it all sorted and we'll get it done. So just wanted to point out what I'm using to get my fuel. So this is the fuel filler line. At the back of the Defender, you can see here there's just a little standpipe coming off of there. Effectively, I'll try and put it on screen in a moment. It is literally just a T. You just cut into the fuel filler hose and that gives you the right size output for your diesel heater there, so you can just run it straight along with the rest of the fuel line. So obviously that fitting there just makes it infinitely easier for me to be able to fit the diesel heater to this van. If you're using another car, whether it's another Land Rover, whether it's just a standard car, another van, whatever it is, you'll often find that the fuel tanks are easier to get to. All you need is the top of the tank. You can either drill a new hole for the standpipe, or sometimes if you're lucky, the fuel pump will already have a spare fuel line in place. Some people do T into return lines and things like that. I'm not a huge fan of that because it can be a pressurized line. However, that attachment makes it significantly easier. I'm not having to drop the fuel tank. I'm not having to try and cut holes in floors, anything like that. So it's really straightforward, really easy. But anyway, we'll get the rest of it done. So the first step for me now is just getting the diesel heater fitted to my diesel heater locker from Mud. It's just 4 bolts at the bottom, 4 studs. You'll have 4 10 mils, or at least this one has, just to put on there. On the bottom of these diesel heaters, you'll find there's just a rubber silicone gasket. That's your first step. Obviously leave that in place. That will then seal up against the floor. Now what you find is, depending on where you're fitting it, if you're fitting it to a Defender, you can use the Mud box diesel heater, or you can just fit it to the center panel that's taken out of the seat box. You don't need a turret on flat floors. However, if you have got ripples in the floors, if you have got indentations, things like that, you know, where it is sort of sunk in, what you might find is you do need to use a turret, because that just then gives you a good solid sort of seal that you can use, and obviously you don't have to worry about any of the exhaust gases coming back inside. So really straightforward for me on this one, fortunately. Like I say, it's just a matter of lining these 4 exhaust studs up and then using 10 mils just to secure that in place. Right, so that's now attached to there. Really nice and easy. That's the inlet for the actual diesel heater itself. Whilst I've got this open, just a quick explanation as to, you know, how they work really roughly. Effectively, this powdered metal bit here is just a burn chamber. So you get your fuel goes into here. There's a glow plug here which obviously helps to ignite it. Once you get up to temperature, that will turn off and you'll just get fuel being injected into here, and that just burns. All you get then is this fan at the end, just spins over. This acts as a heat sink. That then just pushes air over hot air comes out of there. So really easy, really straightforward. So they're super efficient. They don't use much in the way of fuel or energy. So then inside the van, you'll be able to see that I've already taken out the driver's seat just to make my life a little bit easier to access the centre. This is the flat panel that, like I said, has been taken out. This is just your access hatch to be able to get to the transfer box on the Defender. Obviously other vans you perhaps won't have this whole area to work with. You might just have your holes to be able to drill. However, this is the OBD plug that I just need to move out of the way. I've also then got my power feed, my power supply, which runs from the battery just underneath the passenger seat. You'll also be able to see I've got my exhaust and my intake already sort of in position from when I had it before, but nothing fancy going on there. It literally just runs straight out the bottom. Really straightforward. So I'll show that underneath the van anyway when I get under there to do the fuel pump. However, for now, I'm gonna muck around trying to get that plumbed in with the wiring in the way. So we'll give it a go. So then that's the interior pretty much dry fitted for now. There'll be a couple of other bits of wiring that I need to do in a few minutes time. However, right now I'm going to get under the van and do the fuel line, run that from front to rear. Now this is another place where I can make a recommendation, and it's with one of these. As you can tell, it's literally just a little rubber bush with threads on either side, and that allows you to hang the fuel pump and reduce the amount of noise that's transferred to the van itself. I say this is a recommendation because if you've done any research into these types of diesel heaters, you'll know that they're kind of just an on-off switch. So you just get a clicking, pulsing noise. And obviously if you're trying to sleep overnight and you've got a constant clicking and pulsing, it gets quite annoying. So anything you can do to reduce it, and for the sake of a couple of quid for one of these, once again, just do it. So then under the van, I've got my fuel pump ready to get fitted to it. I already have a anti-vibration mount, hopefully it focuses, just fitted there. And as you can see here, that's where the fuel hose and fuel line will be going. So it's not a very long run, so I'm going to try and get that fitted up now just as best as I can. So then that's the fuel pump all fitted up here on the side of the seat box. Just have to do a short run from there to here for the fuel line there. However, obviously the longest run is going to be from here to the back of the van. Now with the fuel pumps, they are supposed to be fitted at about a 45-degree angle, and on this one at least, the section where the wiring connectors are is the outlet. So inlet's obviously down to the lower to the ground, outlet's higher up to the top there. That's that all plumbed in wiring wise. I've also fitted up the exhaust and inlet as well. Hopefully you can see that up there. It's all in place, and obviously that then runs straight to the fuel pump. Had I thought about it, I would have put the line on the fuel pump first, because the amount of movement on that mount has made it quite difficult to get it to seat on there. But we're pretty much on now. And then we'll run the rest of the line. So then hopefully you can see I've got the fuel line run down towards the front of the van here, and I've got just to the rear of the suspension upper mount just here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilise the fact that there's a load of cable ties already here, and this is where I'm going to mount the fuel filter and then just run the rest of the line to there. So really easy at this point, so we'll get that bit done. Not the most amazing fuel filters. I mean, realistically, you'd probably want to be looking at changing this for a better one as well. However, one is better than none. But at least that's what I'm going to keep telling myself, because I didn't order a better one. got that on far enough now that we can get a clamp on it. And then I'll run it back through to the filter. And we'll get the rest of or get it wired up. So then now the plumbing side of it's done, the fueling side of it's done. What's left to do is wiring. Wiring is actually really simple on these. You have, well, straightforward. You've got your fuse for your 12 volt live. You've got your earth strap. And then you have your fuel pump connector. And then the connector for the control unit. And finally that bit goes into the actual diesel heater itself. So the only bit that's going to be a bit of effort on my behalf is this one. And that's purely on the basis that I've got to run that through the floor. So I'm just going to deep in it really quickly from there, push the wires through separately, and then I'll pin it back in when I'm underneath the van. Really straightforward. And then we'll get into the van and show the last bits and get it done because it's getting cold. So then to deep in these, really easy. You've just got your holder in place. That's kind of like a seal that you just have to pop off. And then just use your standard 2-pin deepening tool and just push it down, and I'll push them straight out. Once again, push that in and push it, he says, straight out. There we go. I made that harder than I needed to make that, didn't I? So there we go, that's the 2 pins out. All I've done is made a note, like I say, pink was into connector 1, yellow into 2. So I'm gonna go under the van now and plumb that in. So then that's all plumbed into place and all connected under the bottom and reconnected back in. What I'm gonna do now is deep in my power, because I've already got a power supply in place. So I'm just gonna pop that off there. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna use a pick as well to get the power off. So my 12 volt live is obviously my red one just there. All right, now I've got some of the tape off, I can actually try and de-pin the live. Now these are a slightly different way to de-pin. All you need to do is lift up a small plastic latch that's above where the pins go in. So just try and push, well, I tried to put a bit of pressure onto the wire itself. Just try and take some of the tension off the actual pin and then pull it up and away it comes. Really straightforward. I'm also going to do my earth because I've got a cable that I've already got in place that's the right length, ready to go. So once again, just going to put a bit of pressure. Pick's going to go in there and that pulls straight out. So I can get rid of those wires now, leaving me with just these ones here. And these ones going into here. So this is the connection for the actual heater side of things, which I'll be plugging into just next. However, for now, I want my shorter earth cable going in. So that's going to go back in here. Make sure that's the right way around, just so the latches go in place, push it in, and that's now connected into place. And my 12 volt live feed just down here, once again, same, push that in, click it into place. That's that done. So theoretically now, once I connect my earth strap, I'll have the ability to turn my switch on and have heat. And as that's just been put on now, my heater's running properly. I've got the fan blowing over there. The fuel pump's doing its usual. And what you should be able to see is as I go through these settings, the temperature increasing for the combustion chamber. Now whilst that once continues to heat up, I'm going to get the rest of this motor box diesel heater back in place and get my cubby box back on once and for all, hopefully, for the last time. So then, there we are, diesel heated, fully fitted into my Defender. We've got the cubby box back in place. Everything's all wired up, all running lovely. We've got a nice bit of heat going through it as well. I've got it turned off for now, but we're all done. Ready for some adventures very soon, hopefully. Off-road, perhaps with the dog, perhaps with the bikes, who knows. But either way, we're all plumbed up, good to go. So I'm gonna get this driver's seat back in and call it a night. But once again, many thanks for watching. Hope you found some of this interesting. Really enjoying doing some of this YouTube stuff at the minute. So thanks very much for giving me the motivation, stopping by and watching it. Cheers.